Welcome back to the channel. We are actually already in our customer's vehicle. Customer is stating that the ABS light on and along with the traction light. So let's hook it up to the computer and see what we have. We have a C0045, which is a left rear wheel speed sensor circuit, ERRATIC. So what we'll do next is we'll go to our live data, actually take this vehicle on a spin and confirm that we're not getting wheel signal. All right, so we are on our drive now, and I just want to show you to the left of my screen the wheel speed sensor and how that left rear is erratic. We got our wheel off along with our brake caliper and bracket, as well as the rotor. So since we're down to this point here, and I know that I do have wheel speed signal, so I know that my wiring should be fine, but I still want to go in and inspect for any kind of damage to the wiring. Now that we have our rotor and our brake caliper off, we just want to spin this and see if we hear any noises. Sounds like the bearing got some type of roar to it. It's a little bit. And like I said, it's erratic. So the thing is with these wheel bearings, it could be one of three things. It could be your wheel bearing itself. It could be the magnet that picks up the wheel speed signal, or it could be the wiring, okay? So the wiring, the wheel bearing, or the magnetized ring in here that picks up the signal might have a crack in it, and that's where you might be losing signal at once it rotates around to that crack in the magnet system, okay, or in that waveform. And also you will need jack stands for this job, because you will be using your jack or some kind of support under this lower control arm, because what you want to do is jack up on that lower control arm until this level, till this bolt levels out with the upper arm, okay? If you have the jack removed from it, this whole arm will hang down and tilt this at an angle. You don't want that. You want this to be even here, so you can either slide your boat out or slide your control arm off of the boat, okay? So you want these two to be leveled here. Now once that bolt is removed, you can see that you can move your upper arm where you need to get to your back boat back here for your wheel bearing. If this is in the way, you won't be able to get your socket back here to pull out this one of the three bolts for the wheel bearing. So you have to move this arm out of the way. Also, let's go back behind our wheel and take out our 10mm bolt for our wheel speed sensor. And once we get that 10mm out, we'll just pop this out of here. Hopefully it comes right out. Sometimes dirt and debris get in there. I have to twist it a little bit while you pull up at the same time. We got our wheel speed sensor out. Just took our 10 out and just pulled our wheel speed sensor straight out. Okay, so you put it straight out and just sit it to the side somewhere. That way it won't be in your way as you're breaking free the three bolts holding in the wheel bearing. Break free our three bolts here. We got one here, and one here. So let's break those free. All right, so we got our wheel bearing out along with our dust shield. Make sure you remember the orientation that goes back on. The gap here is for your brake rotor to get back on, get to these two bolts. So just remember that. Also, if you're looking at it this way, it's like a bowl, okay? Your edge here needs to be out towards you, okay? Okay, so you can see now that we have the wheel bearing out. Exactly what I said it probably was. One of the three things, as you can see here, this black piece here is your magnet. That's what the sensor picks up as far as the wheel speed signal, okay? You can see it's broken off here. I can even break it off by hand a little bit, chip at it a little bit and pull it off, okay? So that's why we were having that erratic signal. So let's go ahead and get this wheel bearing replaced and get this thing fixed. All right, and just for comparison, we have our new wheel bearing here and our old wheel bearing. And you can see here, right around here, is our magnet, okay? Nice and intact versus this one, okay? Our magnet is all deteriorated and beat up, okay? So like I said, that sensor that we pulled out with that 10 millimeter in there, it just rides along here and not even touching it, but it picks up this magnet signal here and relates it to miles per hour or speed signal. Okay, so let's get this wheel bearing on. But before we get this wheel bearing on, let's go clean our hub up of dirt and debris and get it ready for installation. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and clean up this area here. You can see all of the dirt and stuff that's in here. Let's go ahead and clean this area up. Get our surface sanded down a little bit, nice and smooth, and then we apply a thin coat of grease here and here, or you can use anti-seize. Just don't go overboard. All right, we got our surface cleaned up. You can see how much better that looks, nice and clean in the inside. Also, our face is nice and clean. Okay, so let's get a little bit of grease on here, like I said, and then we'll stick our backing plate on along with our wheel bearing. Okay, before we go back in with our wheel bearing, just remember that this backing plate goes on the back side of the wheel bearing. Okay, and you can see this little hump here. Just make sure you line that up on the back side where the wheel speed sensor goes. Okay, remember our speed sensor goes in here. All right, backing plate first. Remember orientation. Then we're gonna stick our wheel bearing in. Since we cleaned up our surface and our mating surface, wheel bearing should slide right in, just like that. Okay. Now this right here, you're gonna have to hold the wheel bearing and hold the backing plate together up against the knuckle while you start your bolts in the back. Okay. A little bit of a task because you have the backing plate as well, but it is doable. All right, so we got 2 of our bolts started. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little fight. The backing plate kept trying to fall off on me while we're trying to get the bolt started, but eventually got it. Just want to turn them by hand as much as you can first. Make sure you're not cross-threading them, and get all your bolts in, and then we'll torque them down. All right, now that we got our wheel bearing in, let's go ahead and put our upper arm back on. We're just gonna pull it down like that, line it up, and then stick our bolt back through. All right, now since we have our bolt and nut in, let's go ahead and torque this nut down to 111 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees. I'm gonna get our rotor back on. Set our rotor back on. Let's get our caliper and caliper bracket back on. Now we left this as one assembly, so we should be able to just slide this back on with ease, line it up, and put our bolts back in the rear. All right, we're going to torque our wheels down to 111 foot-pounds. All right, we're taking it on our spin to confirm that the issue is fixed. You can see right there on the right lower side of the screen is my wheel speed signals. My left rear seems to be doing fine now, no erratic signal. So problem is fixed. Let's take the vehicle on back, park it, let the customer know that it's fixed. Thank you for watching the video. Like, subscribe, share, and stay tuned for the next video.